Istanbul's Bosphorus Strait is absolutely crammed with guided tours of dubious quality. But can a tourist do it all by themselves? That's what we're going to find out. Hey, we're Ben and Camille, two foreigners living in Munich, Germany, and over the past 3 years we've documented our travels with one goal in mind: helping you travel, by not just inspiring you, but fundamentally empowering you with all the knowledge you need to go out there and do it for yourself. All right, we have gone by 5 different ferry terminals. No one can tell me where this ferry is. It's got to be around here somewhere though. So yeah, this is going to be a bit of a challenge. The Bosphorus's public boat system, though extensive, is far known as being a little bit complicated and indecipherable to tourists. However, I love a good public transportation challenge, so that's exactly what I'm going to be doing as I put myself to the test to see if I can figure it out. So what are the terms of this challenge? Well, quite simple. I want to only use the public ferry system. I want to see as many neighborhoods as I can with 2 major goals in mind. Number 1, I want to see Rumeli Fortress. I've heard it's closed for renovations, but I'm going to see it. And 2, go on a good night out. Because if there's one thing for certain, you're not going to be able to have the best bar crawl here on the main Sultanahmet district. There's absolutely no way we're going to make the ferry today. We are so behind and no one can tell me where the station is. Did manage to grab some bread and cola though, so classy breakfast. Hopefully brunch on the other side. It's not bad either. Okay, we found it. It's this one. We have 10 minutes. Brilliant. Now we just need to actually get the logistics of the ticket sorted, and you know I'm going to explain that stuff to you in the 7 minutes left. Overall, this morning has been quite confusing. We're at the ferry docks near the Galata Bridge, so a pretty famous spot, and there are a ton of boats. On the left-hand side, mostly just tourist boats. On the right-hand side seem to be the normal public commuter ones. Good luck finding that on your map. I didn't know, I went to the wrong one. Hence why we spent so much of this morning running and unable to eat breakfast. So the ferries that we're going to be using today all have kind of a tap-on card. You need one of those. You can get one from this man at this kiosk. You can top them up at any of the yellow stations that you see, but you need the card first. We have now officially got ours, so now all we need to do is actually tap onto the ferry. It cost 25 lira for the card and it puts 7 lira on it. Each journey should only cost between 2 to 5 lira, so we're gonna have to top up soon, but not immediately. Let's go get on that ferry. All right, we're officially underway. Let today's challenge begin. I couldn't be more excited if I tried. Is it clear that I love boats yet? It should be. So we've made it to our first ferry, but where exactly are we going on our grand Bosphorus adventure? Because there are going to be a lot of stops between Rumeli Fortress, our night out, and now. First up though is the neighborhood of Besiktas for some hard-earned brunch, followed by a quick coffee in Arnavutköy, then finally to Bebek where we can walk to Rumeli Fortress itself. Once I've had my fill and I'm done basking in that castle's grand glory, we'll begin the return journey back down the Bosphorus, the same way we came, but most notably taking a detour to the Asian side for a good night out in Kadiköy. But for now, back to the Bosphorus. So one of my critiques of the ferries is that, at least for the first ride of the day, your butt's gonna get wet. And these poles are quite low down. I felt like I've been tipping over the whole time. There's a port cat, and just like that, we're here in Besiktas. All of the concern, all of the stress, the drama of this morning and finding the ferry tickets, it's all melted away now as it's time for brunch. I'm absolutely starving. And don't forget to check the ferry times at the actual ferry locations themselves. And now I'm going to be coming back here, so I'm going to take a picture of this bad boy so I don't lose it.
She looks so bitchy. Hey, this is so fun.
Overall, impressions are incredibly favorable right now. I am really vibing with this place. All the cobblestone, the way that the markets are just kind of falling in and out of the streets. Very cool. It's also quite hip and trendy. They say it's like a little Europe in this area because back during the Ottoman times, this is where the Europeans would settle in Istanbul, and you can definitely get a bit of a vibe of that. So if I'm being honest, what it really reminds me of, and this is a weird example, but it's Ueno, a district in Tokyo. It also feels to me very much like that with the markets and the street. I don't know why, just something about it. If you've been, let me know if I'm crazy. Yeah, there are just an absolutely infinite amount of cool, trendy places. I think one of the burger restaurants I saw was serving its sauce in a syringe. You don't get any more hipster than that. Also, the cafe coffee shop names are hilarious. Molecule, What the Coffee. And for my American friends, Gun. Why not? Maybe it'll make you feel at home. So clearly, if you're in the mood for a Western burger, craft brew or something of the sort, you are spoiled for choice here. And if that is what you're in the mood for, then I wouldn't really recommend one place over another so much as I would just recommend going on a good walk. You know, just really go on an adventure around the alleys and find a restaurant that you're vibing with. For me though, I did not come all the way to Istanbul for a burger, so I'm going to be looking for some proper Turkish food, which you can find. You just need to walk a little bit more north and a little bit out of the cobblestones. That's at least where we're going to be going, though I'll be honest with you, I did have a cheeky stopover for a Western cookie latte. You can't judge me. And now that I'm sufficiently satiated, we're back at the port, ready to get back on board. We've got about 15 minutes, then we'll be riding to our next stop. Alright, so I've got good news. In 35 minutes, another ferry is going to be dropping on by to take us one more neighborhood up to Bebek. I'm really excited to go see there, but that does mean we have 35 minutes to kill. And instead of just waiting by the station, let's go get into the neighborhood, have a good little gander, and make our way back. Let's have a quick architecture tour. Actually, scratch that. Why get coffee when you can get tea? Alright, so talk about a whirlwind tour and a half. We're now back at the ferry docks. It was quite fun running around there, picking up some B-roll and getting a drink. Would I recommend you spend more time there? Yeah, probably if you're hungry, especially if you're hungry, but I've already eaten, so I think for me it's time to move on. And as far as the architecture, I mean, there's a reason I called it a quick architecture tour, and that's because this area is famous for all of those wooden houses that we saw. They were pretty cool, if not maybe a little Instagram filtered when you see them online. This is a stunningly busy waterway. I mean, everyone knows, everyone says that, but getting onto one of these commuter ferries and really seeing it has given me a whole new appreciation. They say they do over 600 rides a day to over 50 different ports all around the Bosphorus. It's crazy, I've never seen anything like it. Finding the actual ferries and getting on them continues to be a bit stressful. Turns out we needed to register the card that we had already used earlier today, so we had to rush by an extra pass, which, you know, with only 2 minutes until you needed to embark, that was quite scary. But you know, honestly, it is all worth it when you're on the boat seeing views like this. Alright, so now that was a proper short ferry ride here to Bebek, but we're officially on dry land now. However, there are sort of two major problems. Number one, I'm not hungry yet. I'm still fully satiated from all those stops way back when, so I'm not really ready to hit up the town or have any food. And two, and this is kind of the big disappointment, Rumeli Fortress, what I was perhaps most excited for in all of Istanbul, is indeed closed down for the season for renovations. It said it was still open online, same as the Anatolia Fortress across the way, but I've called both of them and both of them are closed. So that's really quite frustrating. However, they are right up against the promenade, so we're still going to go on a big walk, work up an appetite, take a look at the fortress's exterior walls, and then we'll head back to Bebek to see what the day has in store. So if we're being honest, the promenade does leave a lot to be desired, but the fortress sure doesn't. It is magnificent. And yeah, I am still definitely pretty gutted that I haven't been able to visit it properly. That being said, there are a variety of coffee shops nestled underneath its walls, so I'm going to be able to bask in it for a few minutes. Though you might be able to tell, a storm's coming in. I guess the entire universe doesn't want me to hang around this castle. But the day's not done yet. You can't tell by the sky, but it's only 5 o'clock. There are still a few more neighborhoods, a good dinner to be had, and a nighttime ferry ride along the Bosphorus. So the day is far from over. But now let's warm up with a coffee. So sufficiently caffeinated and with the weather turning back in our favor, how are we going to end the night with a bang? I mean, I can't leave you on the sad note of a closed castle, that's for sure. So what we did while we waited at the restaurant was call our Turkish friend and ask for a good recommendation for a reliable night out. And they said the best place for us to go was the neighborhood of Kadiköy by a nighttime ferry. And I think we can do that. So let's get some drinks and desserts. Alright, so we're at our first stop of the evening, and that is at the Karga bar, which might just be my new favorite bar. I wasn't originally sure if I was going to record anything over on the Asian side, especially after just how tiring today has been so far, but the boat ride was magnificent, of course, as I mentioned, but more specifically, everyone says that there's nothing to do on the Asian side, and I do not understand that at all. If anything, I saw more things to do on the walk from the ferry to here than I have all day. Plus, who needs a cat cafe when you can just have a cat bar? Pretty sure everywhere else this would be a health code violation, but I don't mind. But if if you're allergic to cats, So I think I'm gonna go have a good drink with my new best friend. I'll catch in with you in a minute. And I'm sorry, Camille, for stealing your cats. You see, the trick about cats is to not try to bring them to you, but let them come to you. Camille was far too forceful. And look who has a cat on his lap. No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die. But in all seriousness, this bar is absolutely amazing. The ambiance, the alcoves, it's wonderful. I mean, obviously, there's this little princess on my lap, but there's also a wood-burning stove down there wafting in some, well, really good smoky atmosphere and that wonderful wood-burning smell. So I don't think I could rate this highly enough. Probably the coolest dive bar I've been to in a long while. In truth, just don't listen to people when they say there's nothing to do on this side. Yeah, maybe there's not so many family-friendly mosques or big tourist attractions to do, but there's real life here for you to come and experience. And it's the first place I've been so far that feels like people actually live in it. So definitely come over here, and I'll put a link and the name in the description so you can come here. Could not recommend it enough. She's been here for half an hour now. You would pay good money at a cat cafe for far less than this. But now I'm going to finish off my second drink, and then we're going to go out for dessert. Alright, so there it is, job well done. Now it's time for us to move back towards the ferry. It's getting pretty late. However, we will be making a dessert stop on the way, because who's going to stop me? And perhaps by design, on the way back to the ferry, yeah, there's a baklava stand. So that's where I'm going to go. I don't know about you, but I can't think of a better nightcap than a bit of black tea and some lovely baklava before we hit the ferry. Or taxi. I haven't checked the schedule yet. As other people might prefer to pronounce it as baklava, at least I've seen a fair few influencers say that. Yeah, baklava was a huge staple of my diet back in Greece, and I love the Turkish variety just as much. Absolutely wonderful. But for now, I'm going to dig in, I'm going to go get that ferry, and I'll see you tomorrow, where I'll give the whole day a bit of a conclusion. I think it deserves one. So what do you guys think? Was this better than a pre-packaged Bosphorus tour? Because I sure do. I mean, sure, I do wish the weather had cooperated a little bit better and that the castle had been open, but you know, when you're traveling, you can't control everything. And I think it's just worthwhile being honest with you guys. Today wasn't perfect, but I'll tell you one thing for sure, I would do it all over again in a heartbeat, and the next time I come back to Istanbul, I think I might. Seeing all the neighborhoods, their differences, their similarities, and all at my own pace, it was wonderful, if not a bit stressful. Would I recommend you guys do this? Well, not if you've never ridden public transportation before. This would be way too much of a trial by fire. But for those of you who are more comfortable and up for the challenge, I think you should push yourself and really give it a go. In all, I really hope you've enjoyed our second installment in the Turkish coastal road trip series, and let me know in the comments if you've seen the first one. If not, I really think you should check it out. I'm so proud of that video and this series in general. And don't forget to subscribe, as it really helps us out as a small channel. And because I'm so excited for you to see our next video, here's a sneak peek into episode 3, our Istanbul street food tour. Ha ha ha!